Hello and welcome back to the Spotlight Games podcast. Today we're talking about the Resident Evil 4 Chainsaw demo, the Suicide Squad game apparently being delayed to 2024. And The Last of Us Season 1 is over, so we have some Season 2 news to discuss. And, if the stars align, we're going to talk about PSVR 2, but it might not happen, folks, so stick around to find out. I'm your host, Patrick, and joining me, as always, is my we call him the sweet dumpster boy.
Wow. Whoa, I'm back. I'm back, baby. I'm back.
How did it? Yeah, you were gone last week. We had friend of the show, Kayla from JK Games, sub in your stead.
Honestly,
how does it feel to be back with this fucking show, this garbage truck on fire?
One, it makes me feel a little sad because she did such a great job and honestly did better than me. So I do kind of feel bad for everyone who's listening. I'm not her. But no, I am 100%. It seems 100% back to normal. I think it was like a flu or something. I don't know. But I'm alive. So
hey,
you're stuck with me.
That's all that matters. That's all that matters is that you're alive. And, I love having you here because I can say, I can make advances on you. I can't make advances on Kayla.
Sure.
I don't,
that'd be kind of weird.
It'd be really weird. And I want to make advances on you.
Thanks.
So, Cayman, we have a lot of video game stuff to talk about because this is the Spotlight Games podcast where each week we spotlight the latest and the greatest in the world of video games. You can get it by subscribing to our YouTube channel at Spotlight Games Pod or by searching for Spotlight Games in your favorite podcast app. And hey, you can be on the show by tuning in as we record live Tuesdays at 8 p.m. Eastern time, as we are right now on twitch.tv/Spotlight Games Pod. So be sure to follow us there so you're notified when we go live so you can be part of the conversation. Cayman, we wrapped up season 1 of The Last of Us. Oh, my phone is making noise. We wrapped up season 1 of The Last of Us last night on this very Twitch channel.
It's true.
Covering episode 9. We did a deep dive on the finale, Look for the Light. And coincidentally, that is also the episode that hit the feed of Save Trash Cinema this week because as we discussed, and as the folks knew from last week, you were under the weather.
It's true. It's true. Don't worry, though. We will be back as strong as we've ever been, or we will be back as drunk as we've ever been when we release our St. Paddy's Day episode next week, covering everyone's favorite Leprechaun series, Leprechaun. And we will be covering, if you guys, I don't know if anyone remembers Leprechaun, the last year's St. Paddy's Day episode where we did Leprechaun. Well, guess what? We're doing Leprechaun too.
You don't remember it. That's for sure.
You're fucking better believe that edit was the weirdest thing I've ever done, which I was like, I don't remember saying any of these words. And there was a moment where I was like, I feel really awkward listening to myself just belligerently drunk, screaming.
I remember so vividly being like, I was drinking, but I didn't drink nearly as much as you and Mike did on that episode. And I remember I was so scared of what that podcast was going to end up being the sober one, and it ended up being great.
Yeah.
So I'm excited about this one for this year, while still scared, as I often am for Save Trash Cinema, but I am excited to get back to that. Cayman, we have an exciting show today. We have a bit of a wild card potentially happening. Friend of the show, Gray Thompson, who was going to be on today to talk about PSVR 2, having some technical difficulties, as is often the case in today's world. We got EMPs going off left and right, people, internet going down, things not working. There might be a point in which this show, Gray busts through the wall like a fucking Kool-Aid man, and I'll be thrilled if he does. But if he isn't able to make it, we're going to circle back in the near future, underline bold near future, to discuss PSVR 2 because I'm itching to hear some hands-on impressions of PSVR 2. But in the meantime, why don't we talk about what we've been playing? Cayman, if you would let me, I would love to start.
Sure.
So you and I have both been playing the same thing, which we're going to talk about. But I also want to talk about something I've been watching. And that's Super Mario World, the complete series. If you're not watching the video, I'm showing the DVD case, the collector's edition DVD case, the 2-disc set. I was chilling at home one day. I work from home, and I get a text from Cayman, and he says, check the mail. which is never a good thing. So I get my slippies on. I walk out to the mailbox. I open it up. I can feel that it's a box. So I was like, okay, we're either working with a DVD or we're working with a game here. And it was a DVD, Super Mario World, the complete series. You know, to get me ready for the Super Mario Bros. Movie coming out in a few short weeks, starring Chris Pratt in every role. And I this shit is unhinged, Cayman. It's like, you know, when we were kids, or I mean, Goodwill still exists, but like, you know, when we were kids going to Goodwill and you'd be like checking out and there'd be that like the VHS or the DVD bin with just the most random fucking shit. This is a fucking Goodwill find. Like, this is something that you would find in a Goodwill. I've only watched one episode. I watched a little bit of a second episode, but I'm just gonna say I've watched one episode. And for some reason, and I'm excited to see whether or not this continues throughout the series. But for some reason, Mario, Luigi, and all the other characters are like in prehistoric times. There's like they're in like a caveman city, and like Mario and Luigi have tasked themselves with like bringing them technology and like introducing like wheels to them and shit.
What?
It is so fucking weird. It is like the most not Mario thing I've ever seen, but Yoshi's there, Bowser's there. Like, Bowser is still the bad guy, and Bowser's like coming in with a character I've never heard of. I don't even remember their name, but it's supposed to be like one of his kids. But it's not one of the main ones that we normally see. And he's just trying to stop them from progressing their society for some weird reason. There's this character named Ooga who just says Ooga Booga. That's the only words he says. And it is just, if you have the means to watch this show, it's really, really so strange. Like, it makes no sense. It feels as if it is not supposed to be a Mario show, and they were just like, let's just make it a Mario show. Like,
I love it. You know,
it's really strange.
so the way that this ended up coming about was that there was like a joke post from Twitter user Wario64 who a lot of times he'll post like ad spots to be like, especially during when it was like the heyday of the console shortage, he would post to be like, hey, there's Xboxes live now on Walmart.
That's
or
how I
like,
got my
there's
PS5.
places, yeah, that's how I got mine too. And so, you know, always follow him and, you know, love his shit. And so he posted like a meme post where it was like, there's season 1 of the Mario Brothers TV show is on DVD. So I was like, oh fuck, I got it. So I looked at it and I was like, oh, it's not shipping for like 3 months. I was like, fuck that. And it just so happened that I looked down and it was like Super Mario Bros. TV show, the collector's edition for $6.99. I was like, well, that's like three of my favorite numbers, 6, 9, and 9.
Yeah. Yes.
And so I was like, I'm not gonna get it for myself. I'm gonna get it.
Of course not. You're a giver. You're a giver.
Well, yeah, you know. So, but you know, when something is, you know, $6.99,
yeah,
we're both giving and taking here. Okay, I give to you the gift of this DVD, and then you give to me a review of it.
Yes,
and
I'll at some point something deranged will be in your mailbox too. But so I'm reading the back of this because they don't do any sort of exposition in this show. I'm learning now that this takes place in Dinosaur Land, which I guess Bowser is the king of. So that's why it's like a caveman society, because it's Dinosaur Land. But it's like, it's so fucking weird. So yeah, Super Mario World, the complete series, I guess $6.99 on Amazon.
Get it while you can, because that shit's selling like hotcakes. I have a feeling.
My absolute favorite thing about it is it feels like this is a bootleg of it, because when you boot it up, at least in my copy, maybe there's like a scratch in the disc or something. It's like, check out these other shows from In Circle Entertainment, and there's nothing, like there's no ads for it. And then you go to the menu, like you're watching episodes. There's no credits. It's just like, here's a MP4 file. Essentially, it's great.
Honestly, I kind of love that that's the case, because like you don't have to deal with looking at credits.
Yeah,
that's great. Like the worst part of watching a TV show that's on the physical is you have to go through the credits every time. You don't need that shit. Just let me live.
Yeah, it's great. But To actually talk about games we've been playing and not a
Mm.
show based, I don't even want to say based on a game that resembles a game. Uh, we've both been playing the Resident Evil Chainsaw demo. This released last week. Friend of the show, Han, in our Discord, which we have a Discord that I always forget to talk about, let us know about the Capcom spotlight thing that was happening last week, which we are not going to talk about this week because there really wasn't much news from it. But that the Chainsaw demo dropped, which was just a really cool callback because way back when this originally came out, there was a Chainsaw demo. It is, if you've played the game, it is the first level or the first area of Resident Evil 4 where you're in the village. The Chainsaw Man comes in, but it's in this sweet 4K 60 frames fucking Resident Evil 4 remake. And we've been playing it. Cayman, what do you think?
Dude, this shit's hard as fuck. So, how did I beat this as a kid? Like, was
Sure.
it this hard when we were kids?
So I think it was hard when we were kids, but an interesting thing that I noticed because as I've said several times on the show, and you have too, big fan of RE2 remake.
Yeah.
This game feels very different from that. Like
Yeah.
it doesn't really feel like the RE2 remake. It feels like you can crouch, you can like stealth to a degree in this game. It seems very clear that like you probably couldn't stealth your way through this section, but like you can at least pick off a couple of the enemies. But and I wonder if they're ramping it up just for the sake of the demo, but it is hard. Did you play it once or did you play it more than once?
I had to play it multiple times to be able to get through it. It took me
Let
like,
me reframe. Did
yeah,
you once you finished it, did you play it again?
no, I
Okay.
didn't.
So there's an ultra, I forget what it's called. It's like Chainsaw Massacre mode. That it's like
Mhm.
it's an RNG. So like as you're playing it,
Yeah, yeah,
it'll
yeah, yeah.
randomly be like, "Do you want to try this mode?" And I tried it, and it is so much harder. And if you die, you die. Like you don't get to start over. You have to wait until it asks
Yeah.
you again.
I was like
But
the
it is
chainsaw
tough.
man has a flaming chainsaw apparently.
See, I didn't even get that far.
Holy shit.
I died right before getting into the village in the lead up because you get less ammo and there's
Yeah.
like double enemies from like in the demo when that first enemy comes down the stairs, four enemies come down the stairs. And so I realized, oh, I'm not supposed to kill them all. I'm supposed to run. And so I think the part that I died, I was probably just supposed to run. It's probably just a survive, not kill everything demo. Um, but I played the demo like 7 or 8 times because it is, while it is really hard, it is so fun.
Yeah.
And I found out there you can get the TMP, the submachine gun from Resident Evil 4. If
Wait,
I saw
what?
this, I saw this online. If you before you open the gate, if you clear your inventory,
Mhm.
you go in, you hang a right, and you kind of follow all like you just stay to the right essentially. There's a grate. You might have noticed it when you played it. There's like a ladder that has a grate over it. Do you remember
Yeah.
that? That is opened if you drop everything in your inventory. You go down there, you pick up the TMP. There's like 150 bullets and a bunch of gold, and then going forward, it's automatically in your inventory. So then the demo is a lot easier when you get to start with the TMP and the pistol.
Ooh, that's cool.
What I didn't try, because I also on that last playthrough when I had the TMP, I also came across the shotgun. What I didn't try is in the another playthrough, will I start with the shotgun as well? Not sure,
You
but I
don't.
would assume you don't. Okay,
You
you don't.
don't. Yeah, no, you don't. Well, at least I don't think you do. Maybe. I don't not may I don't know. What I will say is that when you because I did try this out. This is actually the way that I ended up beating it. So I was like, what the fuck? Because like in the original way that you're supposed to is like there's like a particular house that you're supposed to go to. Like you're supposed to board up the house and like try to survive inside of it. And then when everyone finally breaks through, you get it triggers the chainsaw man.
Right.
So come to find out, what I went was like, why? I was like, man, this shit is so fucking hard. Apparently, if you just run around and like just then it'll trigger him, but you don't have. So when you enter the house, it doubles the amount of enemies.
Okay.
So I do kind of like the way that they kind of design that. I think it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And so when I did that way, like once it triggered, I ran in the house, grabbed the shotgun, grabbed the grenade, kind of posted myself up, and was able to make it through at that point. Because the whole thing is like you aren't supposed to kill all these enemies. I will say
Right.
one thing I do distinctly remember though, of playing the original RE4 was going back in after beating the game when you can unlock, like, I think, like, you start off like if you max something out, you get the Tommy gun,
Yeah.
and it's like unlimited ammo. But you can also, if you beat the game again on with using the Tommy gun, then like new game plus, you get unlimited rocket launchers, and
Fucking
you can
yes.
put Ashley in a suit of armor and just
So
fire.
good.
You just like send her off as bait and just keep firing rockets at her. So like the thing that I like distinctly, like I'm playing through, I'm like, man, this is so fucking hard. But I'm also thinking like, man, I cannot wait to do new game plus with like
Yeah.
and
Because
just
they gotta bring that back.
yeah, you just
There's no
fucking
way they
wipe
don't.
everyone out. One of my
Yeah.
favorite things is there's a YouTuber, Dante Ravioli,
Okay.
who does a lot of like challenge runs for Resident Evil. And one of his challenge runs was like, can you kill the Chainsaw Man without actually attacking at all? So
So
what
just
you
like
could do,
defending and parrying or
you
whatever?
just know. So he does it on like, this was like before the demo came out. But basically the way he did it was is if you get them to like come to the door, you just kick the door open and it damages him. And so he's just sitting there repeatedly kicking this door open and just like
That's
kills the
funny.
guy. And I'm like, that's amazing.
That is
Like
amazing.
I will say, like, I was watching a video earlier, I think it was from GameSpot, where there are like 8 things you need to know about RE4, the remake. And it was like things that are different. And these are things that I was like, I had no idea. And there was some things I had no idea before I even played the demo that I was like, I don't know if I like this as much. The first
Okay.
thing I did was like, I were distinct because I was like, it was like a reflex going back, right?
Wasn't it? It was so weird.
And so the first thing I do is like shoot the dude's kneecap out, come up with my knife, slice, 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 kill him. And I'm like, yeah, man, this feels so good. And then the next enemy, I go to do the same thing, and my knife goes ka-chink. I was like, oh, you fucking
No
kidding
way.
me?
My knife never broke.
Yes, your knife can break, and you have to
Uh-oh.
repair your knife at merchants. And you can apparently you
Uh-oh.
can upgrade the knife with as you play, so it's like
Okay.
has more durability, does more damage, whatever. But yes, the knife does break. Another thing I noticed, gunpowder, which was not in the
Yeah.
original game. And I was like, okay, well, this is gonna be they're
So
really
I
putting
figured out
survival in this shit.
I figured out with the gunpowder, if you find, oh, I see a face. I see a face.
Let's fucking
Let's see if we
go.
hear him.
Let's go.
My ears, though.
So one thing that I was able to do once, if you get the gunpowder, there's another thing that you have to find. I forget what it's called, but if you combine them, you can create ammo with the gunpowder, which is cool. Gray, can you hear us?
I could hear you. I could always hear you.
Oh,
Now I
stop
can
it.
see you. My
And
life
we
is
can see
complete.
you.
I'm on my phone. I feel so stupid. This is awful. Thank you.
No.
I'm so sorry, you guys. I could not
No.
figure it out on my computer, which is ironic for what I'm here to talk about. It's actually going to play into what I'm going to talk about, but I'm
Sure.
not happy about that. Oh my
Hey,
God.
you're all good. Well, we've been talking about the RE4 demo, which you have also been playing.
Yes.
What do you think?
First of all, it looks so good. It looks so
looks
good.
so
I kind of struggle when they do these. Sometimes part of me really wants a remake rather than or a remaster rather than a remake. Does that make sense? Like I
Yeah.
just want to see games look better, and we'll get to that with PSVR 2 in a minute too. But I just want to see like upgrades sometimes.
Sure.
They've changed some stuff about RE4, but
Just
I
a
think
lot of
for the
stuff.
better.
Yeah.
It looks so good. That's easy, right? But
Yeah.
like to add, there was a stealth kill in there, which was
Yeah.
nice. I enjoyed that, right? I didn't like how the first person you fought wasn't just a villager, he was already mutated.
Sure.
But they add that into sort of the combat loop where if you don't kill them fast enough, then they can mutate. The AI is way smarter, and I really kind of enjoyed how they upgraded all of it.
Yeah.
And I say that because I didn't love I love Resident Evil. I pre-ordered the original Resident Evil. I'm way older than you fucks. And I went to my friend. I remember getting this game, and the dog busts through the window in horrible fidelity, terrible resolution, right? And it scared the shit out of us. And we were laughing on the. We'd never seen anything like that. The dialogue, all that stuff, that was new to us. Resident Evil 2, the remake, and Resident Evil 3 were way more like scary and terrifying for me. I didn't
Sure.
enjoy it. I didn't finish them, and I have no problems with that. But I'm super excited for this one because it feels everything but the camera to me feels exactly right. I'm really excited. I wasn't excited until I played the demo.
Hell
The
yeah.
demo kind of blew me away.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, and Gray, you and I were talking beforehand yesterday also, like something about there was just this weird like nostalgic rush with this demo. Like there have been demos for things recently, but there haven't been demos for things recently that I've cared about. So this is like one of my first demo experiences in like a really long time. So it was really cool like having that, because they used to be such a huge piece. You'd buy a game specifically for the demo disc because you didn't give a shit about this game, but I just want to play the Metal Gear Solid 2 demo like
I was
that.
gonna
So that
say
it was a really
you're older than
cool.
I thought, which is good. I mean, demos used to be a part of life. Like
Yeah.
Doom 2 started, or was it Doom? One of them was shareware.
Doom.
It was
yeah.
a part of life, and it used to be a big part of my life, including on consoles. I haven't been excited about a demo in a long time.
Yeah.
I was not prepared for this one to hit, man, and it did. Look, it's not perfect. I really think the camera doesn't make a lot of sense the way it zooms in. It doesn't need to do that at all.
Sure.
In fact, the way look, Resident Evil 4, the original, part of the process that people learned to do to get really efficient and quick in the game was to corral all the enemies together and then just blast them kind of in a line. Or like in the demo, in that area, you would bring them up onto the tower. If you go in the tower now, the floor collapses, right?
You fucking
The enemies
threw
are.
me.
It's awesome.
Yeah. It was.
I
Really
think
cool.
that's good, and but the camera doesn't really seem to fit it very well. Hopefully, that's adjustable. Again, it's a demo, so I'm not really upset about it. I'm really, really look. I was not excited about it. Now I'm super stoked. That's what a demo is supposed to do, right?
Yeah,
that's the purpose of it.
That was their goal. Yeah, no, I was gonna buy this game, but I had such a good time with the demo that I like at the end when it's like buy this game. I was like, no, I'll pre-order right now. Like that.
Yeah.
This demo, I had so much fun with it that I'm gonna go ahead and pre-order it.
Okay, so I to your point, Gray, about the camera and all of that. That's one thing I had when I played the God of War. Was like the God of War reboot.
Yeah, 2018.
Was like, yeah, in 2018.
I'm really glad you mentioned that. I'm sorry to interrupt, but
You're fine.
That's God of War 4, and I don't know why they didn't call it that. Resident Evil, the one thing they've done that nobody can, to me, complain about is they've just gone 1, 2, 3, 4 through 8. 8
Sure.
Resident Evil games. I love it. You know what you're getting. God of War, like now you can't even tell them about the original that was record-breaking, trend-setting, everything. Like it's so dumb. God of War 4.
So okay, so the thing is with that, like when I first booted up God of War 4, for me when I booted it up, I was like, this feels wrong. Like this doesn't feel right. And it took me a little bit of time to like adjust to the new way Kratos works and like the new gameplay mechanics. So I 100% understand what you mean by this, because you're right. Like there was so many things that like were instinct where I was like, okay, this is so familiar. I know what I'm doing. But then there's so many things that are just so like just slightly different enough that I'm like, okay, this feels weird. But I'm like, I'm actually, I think, more excited about that because I'm like, I'm actually excited to like play this game again, but it's going to be like almost through brand new eyes.
Yeah.
And like, that's like so fucking exciting to me.
Yeah. I replayed RE4 on my Switch a year and a half ago, maybe 2 years ago.
Sounds about
and had a great time with it. So I was, while I've been super excited about Resident Evil 4 Remake, there has been that like slight trepidation. Like, what if I pick it up and I'm like, I just did this. So this, like, I had did the exact same thing. Went to the tower, floor fell through me. I'm like, awesome. Right. They're giving me some curveballs, and so yeah, I'm very excited about that. Also, shout out to Chocolate de Mongo in the chat, friend of the show, Mondo. How you doing, buddy? We need to bring you back soon. And I see that the aforementioned Solid Snake in your in those emojis. I have not seen those before. Is your dinner ready, Gray, from your microwave?
Don't get me. It's been a hell of a day, dude. That was my door. Even my door's mad at me today. It's that kind of day.